They've got 11 wins and they control their own destiny. But do you believe San Francisco is a legitimate team?
Well, they're definitely a legitimate team.
No, they're not going to be folded. Do you believe they're financially solvent? I don't know the questions they get in.
They're 1 of 32.
Yeah,
They've won a lot of Super Bowls. No, I was thinking about it. There's no team in the NFL this year that confuses me more than San Francisco. Like, you know how I feel about the Falcons. The Falcons definitely have confused me a lot this year. But for the purposes of this, I do think it's San Francisco because, as you guys have pointed out all day, they control their path to the 1 seed. That feels like it's out of nowhere, but it obviously isn't. They're on a 5-game win streak where they're scoring 34 points per game during that win streak, but the best team they've beaten by far is Carolina. Like, I don't know how much.
During this streak.
During the streak, right. Arizona, Carolina, Cleveland, Tennessee, and Indianapolis. So, like, how much weight?
Yeah, they got their great wins with Mac Jones.
Correct.
Well, no, but that.
They beat Seattle. Seattle.
Right, but they beat Seattle in week 1. We tend to not credit week 1.
What is the deal with week 1 on this show?
It's week 1. Yeah. It's just in the Bible.
Sam Darnold's he doesn't know where like the bathrooms were.
It's in the Bible.
Unbelievable.
Then Mac Jones beats the Rams, and I think their defense is bad. I think Phillip Rivers was carving them up. A couple of weeks ago, Tennessee ran for nearly 7 yards per carry on them, but they couldn't really be competitive because it's Tennessee. One of my favorite bets of the year this week is the Bears 49ers over. Like, I think that's just going to be a shootout. Might take 35 points to win. So I have to give them credit for being in this position, but I think they're a deeply flawed team. I really do.
Yeah, look, confusing I think is the wrong word because Atlanta, I get it because they got a lot of talent. They've played some good teams tough.
I was really confused by the Chiefs this year, I got to tell you. I'm still wildly confused at what happened.
I don't know. But
I think they're obviously surprising. With all the injuries, for them to be in the position they're in is incredible. The offense, and we got to give Kyle Shanahan, we've known he's a great coach.
He's great.
This year might be his best coaching job. Maybe it's not even close.
I think so.
It's obvious, right? But that offense is clicking. And the defense, I wouldn't say bad. They gave up 27 points yesterday to a 44-year-old quarterback. I get all that. But the defense, considering the guys they've lost, Salah's done a phenomenal job with that defense. Danny, I don't know. Look, I feel like the whole field is open. They have beaten Seattle and the Rams, the teams you think are the 2 best in the league. And so I have to give them a shot, but I can't wait until these next 2 games because I think that's really going to tell me where San Francisco is by how they fare against Chicago and Seattle.
So I do feel like I know where they are, which is I think the offense is going to be prolific, and I think the defense, to Danny's point, is going to struggle to get off the field. They have the fewest sacks in the league. That is typically not a recipe for postseason success. Right. However, the other way to explain what's going on is, remember how you correctly predicted that Saquon could have a CMC-esque impact? Yep. I think CMC is having a Saquon-esque impact that was a CMC-esque impact. I think Christian McCaffrey, I don't know what the odds for Offensive Player of the Year are. I know early it was Jonathan Taylor, then Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think that should be Christian McCaffrey's award right now. I think Christian McCaffrey, when you look at what he has done this season as far as be the Niners offense, where he's the 2nd most yards in the NFL, he's the 3rd most touchdowns, and they ask him to do more than any other player in the league. And being 6th in the league in receptions as a back is wild. He's 150 yards, so he might not get there. At being 1,000, be the 4th 1,000 season ever, the first player ever to do it twice. He did it early in his career with Carolina. And the reason that I would think, when we're talking about how wide open things are, they have a coach that's been to multiple Super Bowls. They have a quarterback who, while I have questions about, obviously he was brilliant yesterday, I have questions about where we rank him in the league. He has played in a Super Bowl. Of the quarterbacks that make the playoffs in the NFC, it'll be him, Stafford, and Jalen Hurts. Obviously, Stafford and Hurts have won Super Bowls. And the path going through Santa Clara would be wild.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
they're
Home Super Bowl.
right. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think they are going to beat the Bears. I think the Bears are going to be able to move the ball on them. But they're favored. They're 3-point favorites against the Bears. I don't know what the look-ahead Week 18 line is, but I would imagine they will be tiny favorites. It will basically be an essential pick-em at home against Seattle. And so Vegas thinks they have a real shot at being the 1 seed, and that then takes weather out of play, which I think is to their benefit. Like they've got a coach who's been there, a running back who's having, I called it a historic season last week. It's uniquely historic. You know what I mean? Because your point that he's not even averaging 4 yards per carry is obviously correct. And Purdy does look healthy, which was a concern early in the year.
He looks very sharp. But Purdy looks pretty
I thought
throwing
Purdy
it
was
really well
unbelievable.
downfield.
Purdy deserves a ton of credit for yesterday. Like, I thought Purdy, obviously, he had 5 touchdowns. Purdy was great yesterday.
Can I show you this graphic? Christine, I don't know if we can pull down this graphic. 49ers record, Purdy, CMC, and Kittle.
Oh, she can pull it down quick.
When one person is out, they're 10-15. When all 3 play, they're 24-5. So we know Kittle, tweaked his ankle to see if he's okay. But that makes me think, yeah, they should be favored against the Bears if they're 24-5.
Yeah, listen, injuries have been a huge part of the story for the Niners for the last couple of years. And this year, at this moment, they are healthy offensively. I struggle, and I applied the same logic to the Patriots earlier in the year. Strength of schedule and the victory. I thought it was fair to question with the Broncos. I thought it was fair to question it with the Bears. Like, what do you do with a team that is 7-0 against teams with 6 or fewer wins, but 4-4 against teams with 7 or more wins? You don't get to play the bad teams in a playoff
Well,
run.
a lot of that.
I have a hard time envisioning, if they're not the 1 seed, them rattling off 3 straight games against good teams.
Isn't a lot of that 4-4 with Mac Jones, and not that he didn't play well, but still, your backup.
Mac Jones split with the Rams.
He was 5-3.
Lost in Tampa Bay when Tampa Bay was good. Lost to Jacksonville.
Because Purdy's 6-1,
Lost
so
to
they
Houston.
only lost.
But
Lost to the
Purdy hasn't played a lot of good teams.
Resurgent teams.
Is the point.
I'd rather be 4-4 against good teams, and this is not about the Patriots, I promise, than 2-1. Like the fact that they've played, like we thought it was going to be a cupcake schedule going into the year because Seattle was excellent, the Rams have been excellent, Jacksonville's been excellent. They ended up because they played the whole AFC South, right?
Yeah.
And that division ended up being better than expected, at least with Jacksonville and Houston. So the schedule ended up being tougher, but they do have incredibly tough final 2 weeks. They are alive for the 1 seed, obviously. So are the 2 teams they play the rest of the way. But I think as long as Christian McCaffrey keeps doing what he's doing and Kyle Shanahan's calling the plays, they're going to be a prolific offense. They just are going to be a prolific offense. And then in good weather in their stadium, that's a tough combo. It's different. You have to go to Philadelphia or you have to go to Chicago.
All right. Dun, 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 dun. Top 10 Tuesday.
Well, we're going to have to wait a little bit to find out because they're certainly not coming in at number 10. That is the team that we just talked about, the San Francisco 49ers. First time in the top 10 since week 7. Quarterback injuries, defensive injuries, now playing great on offense. Scored on 7 of their first 8 drives yesterday. Some of the best football that you'll see from Brock Purdy. Don't need to spend too much time on it. I told you I'm confused, so I slot him in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, they also could be the 1 seed, the Denver Broncos. Their defense is heading in the wrong direction. And I think their defense is excellent, don't get me wrong, but Bo Nix finally lost the game where he had a passer rating under 85 this past week. He had been 5-0 because he'd been carried by their defense in all those close games. If we can show the defensive graphic for their first 13 games and the last 2, now it's not embarrassing teams that you played, right? You played Green Bay, you played good offenses, I understand that, but if their defense isn't supremely excellent, top 5, I do question whether or not they can make a run through the AFC. Coming in at number 8, the Jacksonville Jaguars. This win streak is incredible. All of the Trevor Lawrence accolades that you've been doing, the wig didn't look great though, I will say. But he has been spectacular, and he has eliminated the bad plays and the mistakes and the fumbles and all of that. And Liam Cohen, I think, probably should be the favorite for Coach of the Year. Mike Vrabel is. I'll talk more about that on the show tomorrow. But he has 4 straight games where he has a passer rating over 100. He didn't have any of them before this year, over 105 actually. He didn't have any over 100 before that. This feels like a very good streak from Trevor Lawrence. I have a hard time believing this is the new Trevor Lawrence.
You should watch him from week 8 of his second year until he got hurt.
Unbelievable.
That stretch.
That's
a 19-game
I'm not saying I've never
stretch.
seen the
Take
stretch
out
before.
week 14.
No, you don't have to
and
take out
16,
anything else.
right,
It's an
and then-
uninterrupted
I'm not saying he's
time.
never had
You
a
don't
good
finish
stretch
top 4
before.
in the NFL and MVP
Week
without
two
having
for
I'm
his
saying
rookie
he's
year.
never had a good
One high
stretch
school
before.
homecoming game.
It's a-
Oh, he cooked.
I'm telling you.
He
It's just-
cooked
he's a
in that
streak.
one.
You should. I have to interrupt top 10. You should like Trevor Lawrence more, considering in no small part you are married because of Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
He and his
Well-
wife met bonding over Clemson Trevor Lawrence football. That's a true story, and you've abandoned him entirely.
Well, stop fumbling in the NFL.
He has. He has.
And why? So, number 8, congratulations. And that's true. Going to the Pinstripe Bowl in
Yeah.
the rain against Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 7, the Houston Texans. I think it's the best defense in football by a considerable margin. Like, their pass rush duo is excellent. Their cornerback duo is excellent. The numbers on this are insane. Second unit since 2020 to allow under 300 yards per game and under 20 points per game in a season, and they've done it against an incredibly difficult schedule. Houston's defense has them here, even though, listen, CJ Stroud said it for weeks now, you need to be better. You were good against the Cardinals. You were bad this past week against the Raiders. I just think your defense makes you the team that no one in the AFC wants to play. Coming in at number 6, my Los Angeles Chargers. That was the best Justin Herbert passer rating game in 3 years. He destroyed the Cowboys. Everyone destroys the Cowboys, but the Cowboys offense destroys everyone also. And they did it against the Chargers. Chargers defense now 3 straight weeks. They played Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and then this past week against Dak Prescott, hold him to 16 points per game. Chargers defense has been excellent. Coming in at number 5, I can't believe we're here. The New England Patriots. They just keep getting it done.
Nice kid.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm not happy with 5.
Okay, that's fine, but they are 2 wins away against the Jets and the Dolphins from adding Drake May to this list.
What? Oh, I'm excited to see it.
It's just, I feel about you guys like I feel about the Packers. Like, do you deserve it so soon? It's just Brady. 14 win seasons, and now 2 years in, Drake May, we're already back here. You should have had 20 years in the wilderness.
Gotta make you feel good.
Just par for the course.
Just par for the course. It's very smug. I'm not happy for you at all.
17-game season.
Get an extra win against
That does make a difference.
I'd like to see I bet with 13 wins, it's just more Brady years, but still.
It's just very upsetting that they're already back here. Coming in number 4, Buffalo Bills. Played with their food a little bit against Cleveland.
A little.
Did they?
I thought it was a big
Or
letdown
did
spot.
Shador give him problems?
Bro,
big
he didn't give him
letdown.
enough problems.
They had the Patriots game. They got the Eagles game coming up this week. One thing, though, I will say for Buffalo, first win for them this year where they scored less than 25 points. Maybe proving to themselves that they can do it, albeit it was against the Cleveland Browns. Coming in at number 3, figured it was a good time for a little trivia question for you guys.
Seems a touch high.
A little bit.
Touch high?
Touch high.
I don't know.
They just.
I think got Magic. They got Magic on their side.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Danny's
Magic.
big analysis after the biggest Bears win of his life yesterday was magic.
Okay, yeah. And it was accurate, and Wild said, I don't want to hear about the history of the Bears. I was
No,
like, okay,
I
well,
don't
that
want
kinda
to hear about
neuters
your elementary
a lot.
school.
Yeah, well, it takes kind of kneecapped my point right before the segment started. 25 or more touchdowns, 10 or fewer turnovers, 25 or fewer sacks.
Can I guess?
Yeah, you can guess. Go ahead.
Well, Caleb's got to be one of them.
That would make sense given that we're talking about the Bears and the MVP of the league.
Stafford.
Matt Stafford. Now, there's a huge discrepancy in the number of touchdowns between
You
the two
don't say.
individuals. But Caleb has eliminated the negative play. He does not turn the ball over,
Right.
and he does not get sacked,
Right.
and he's been clutch. So, of course, there is a huge gap between him and Matt Stafford.
Can I give
putting the ball
Caleb
in the
a
end zone.
compliment too? He still does wild stuff in the pocket. It's
Yeah.
not like he's just all throwaways. He's still evading tackles, but he's getting away with it. So
Yeah.
it's a
He
Caleb
is the
compliment.
one.
Also, can I give you a compliment? I only knew because you did your blind reveal, but had it printed off here. And
Smart
sit
though.
next to
I like printing my graphics in case they don't fire. It's a nice little mental note for myself. Thank you very much. Good job by you.
He will look at it.
Coming in at number, he cheats off my
He'll
paper.
steal your stuff.
Just like in
I won't steal anyone's stuff.
I am known take that. Coming in at number 2, the LA Rams. debated this for a long
I like it.
time, and I'll explain why by the number one team in just a second, but just kudos to Matt Stafford. 8 games this year with 3 or more touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Next closest guy has 5. He has been absolutely dominant. But coming in at number 1, the Seattle Seahawks. Went back and forth. You could go either way. Obviously, they now have the cleaner path to the 1 seed. Those 2 teams have played twice. We talked about it after Thursday Night Football. They are within a yard of each other. They are within a point of each other. But the turnover discrepancy, Seattle has been that close with 7 turnovers. You could say, well, that's a problem if they're turning the ball over that much. But if they just cut those turnovers in half, they would have won those games comfortably.
3.5
so,
turnovers.
3.5 turnovers would be weird.
Turnovers.
Smart out. So I put Seattle over the Rams, but I debated it a lot. But Brew, I assume, as always, perfect list.
No. I kind of feel like Nick, and I just want to bash the whole
I actually thought
First
it was
of
pretty
all, the love
lot of
affair you
time on
guys
that
have
list.
with the Rams, all y'all. And then the Seahawks number 1. As much as Sam Darnold changed the narrative, I still don't see him.
Bro, you don't
quarterbacking
like the
best
Seahawks
team.
or the Rams?
Who do you want?
Who's number
I'm
1?
just saying they shouldn't be.
Not the Bears
Here's
and
what
not
I'm
the
going to
Bills.
say. And I got so much. I just got
who should be number
general.
1?
I just
Give us
have
who's
general
number 1.
comments.
Who's
General
number
I
comments.
just got
Salute.
general
He doesn't
comments.
have it.
Where are the Eagles?
11. 11.
That's a good comment.
Eagles are 11. But Brew, who's number 1?
Saquon Barkley, 110 yards per game the last 3 games. The running game is coming back. Jalen Hurts, 5 touchdowns, no picks the last
I like
2
that.
games. We know the defense is legit. They are they are a threat. Let's put it that way.
Then who's your number
And
1?
then I also think the Broncos and the Niners should be higher. I think they're better than the Texans, the Chargers, who you love, I know, and Wilds, I'm sorry, your Patriots. So I think that those 2 teams, and we'll look, like I said, we're going to find out how good San Francisco is. Broncos, I don't think defense had a bad weekend, no question about it. Credit to the Jags, though. But I don't think that defense is necessarily on the downswing. So I think those teams should be higher. Who I'd say number 1?
Yeah, bro, you box yourself in.
I've ran out a lot of things.
That's the problem with top
It
10.
just
Seahawks.
can't be Seattle.
It's probably Seattle.
then
Drew
it's-
does not like the Pacific Northwest.
Seattle
Number
is 3rd in
1?
points scored and 2nd in points allowed.
But it's not the Rams, it's not the Bears, it's not the Bills. You won't let it be my Patriots.
There's
you know
a
it's not the
reason
Chargers.
there's a
You
reason
think
that
it's
the
the Eagles.
quarter.
Say it's the
There's
Eagles,
a
bro.
reason the quarterback
competitor.
that they have so many turnovers.
Yeah,
The quarterback
quarterback's
has
the one to it.
13.
That's what would concern me.
And
is
only Tua and Geno have more.
in those Rams
interceptions.
games, 6 of the 7 are Darnold picks. That's
no
what would
doubt.
worry me. I would feel better.
But that honestly, I view
You
that
think it's gonna-
a little bit.
Well,
You're
he cut it in half.
It's
He went
all
from
within
4
a
to 2
yard.
to
Like,
1.
well, how many
Yeah.
more drives?
Yeah.
Correct.
Have you done the math on the drive?
Well, listen, part of the Rams' yardage issue is they had a lot of short fields because of the turnovers.
Oh, that makes sense.
That works both ways.
Christina, please put my bar on the screen because I don't have a lot of time.
It's just going to be disrespectful.
No, it's not disrespectful. Your disrespect is ruining the top 10 integrity because here's the deal. You know it. And by your own explanation as to why you doubt the Niners, you should doubt the Chargers. Who have the Chargers beaten that you think's excellent? Who? The answer is nobody. Their best wins against the Eagles, who you don't think are any good.
Well,
Their
I think they're
Yeah,
11.
okay, well,
I think they're 11.
not good enough to make your top 10.
Right, 11.
Their next
More than
best
10.
win is against Denver back in September, which, again, you don't think Denver's that good, and that happened when we barely count. Meanwhile, the Jags have beaten, on your top 10, the Niners,
Yeah.
the Texans,
Yeah.
the Chargers by 29, and the Broncos. All those teams around them. There is zero explanation to having the Jags behind the Texans or the Chargers. And deep down, you know it. But for some reason, you feel the need to be like, oh, the Jags earned some respect by what? Getting the single best win in the NFL this year, going to Denver and dominating them. We were talking about how no quarterbacks could do anything against that defense. Trevor made it look easy. So otherwise, it would be a fine list.
How high do you have the Jaguars, out of curiosity?
Well, how high do I personally have the Jaguars?
if you were doing Nick's top 10, where would you, how good are they? Like 5th best team? 4th best team?
I would have them right now 5. I would have them ahead of the Bears, behind the Bills, and probably behind the Patriots. Yeah. If
All right,
I'm doing
I
that.
just thought 5v8, I don't think it's a huge discrepancy. To me, Trevor Lawrence right now is on a streak like we've seen Jordan Love go on a streak, Baker Mayfield go on a streak. I need to see it be sustainable.
But you don't for Justin. For Herbert, Herbert was on a streak too of bad football.
He had
played
a broken hand.
Okay, he still does. And then played one great game, and it's like everything's fine. There is just no reason to have the Jags behind the Chargers. There's none. There's none. The quarterback's not playing better. The offense isn't playing better. The defense isn't playing better. There's no reason for it.
Sad day for the show, as after the Chargers beat the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes twice,
Yeah.
out of Nick Wright's mouth, who have they beaten?
Who are they beating?
Yeah.
But by Danny's
I
top
noticed that
10.
too.
By Danny's top 10, they've beaten one team, Denver.
Sad.
I
Chargers, the
noticed the
Jags
same
have beaten
thing.
4 of them.
Time now to hand out some Week 16 superlatives. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly from the most recent week of NFL football. I was assigned the most dominating performance, and I am going with Trevor Lawrence. Now, Nick thinks I'm a hater. I'm not. He was incredible against Denver. I have just seen Trevor Lawrence go on streaks like this before. I've seen Jordan Love go on streaks, Baker Mayfield. Like, some players are streaky and some players are excellent. These highlights of Trevor Lawrence are amazing. Physical toughness, arm strength, decision making, accuracy. He's one of the better quarterbacks, I think, of like a right-handed quarterback who rolls to his left and can still throw with velocity. Like I think he is a very, very impressive, physically gifted player. But here's where I struggle with it, guys, and you tell me if I'm crazy. He now has 4 straight games with a passer rating of over 105. Excellent.
Yeah.
No other game this year with a passer rating over 100, and the 5 games before that, they were passer ratings under 90. Like, it's just, he's on a heater right now, but I did think he was dominant against the Broncos, coach.
Yeah, you have to give him even more credit because it was against Denver and how good that defense has been. And then it was against Denver in Denver, riding an 11-game home winning streak. And throughout the course of that game, I kept thinking, okay, when is this going to turn back into the Trevor Lawrence that we've seen too much over the course of his career, where he's going to throw a pick and it's going to end in a disappointing way? But he rose up, and I thought his placement was excellent. Dealing with the pressure of the moment was excellent. He does have that streaky side to him, similar to Jordan Love, where when Jordan's great, he's great. And when he's not so great, unfortunately, it's much lower than you'd hope it'd be.
Yeah, I would give him the Most Improved Player of the Year award.
Interesting.
I honestly would. I think this game felt like he arrived, especially that everything that was stacked against him. People really weren't believing in the Jaguars, but him himself really elevated his game. And I think we're at the point where he's matured, and we can look at him differently, especially not just because of the game, how he's been playing all year. Yeah, he's been streaky, but the Jaguars are relevant because of his play, bottom line. And so I like him. I think he's big time, man. I like everything about Trevor Lawrence right now.
All right, so that was the most dominating superlative. Coach, you got the vote for most shocking performance of Week 16. Tell us who you got to take us through it.
This isn't an individual. This is a collection of individuals, including both running backs, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, the organization. It's the Detroit Lions running game. And for them to only have 15 yards last week against the Steelers, to me, it's really unbelievable. And I want to show you kind of where this ranks in the history. So in 2007 against the Cardinals, they had minus 18. 2016, they had 14. And then 2025, they have 15. So it's every 9 years you have a game like this. Now remember, the Steelers had 230 yards rushing.
Yeah.
These guys had 15. And then let's look at the running backs from 16 versus 2025. So Jahmyr Gibbs, he averages 5.3 yards a carry. Montgomery, he's at 4.6. Where in 2016, it was Riddick and Zenner who were both under 4 yards a carry. So a little bit different package in terms of if you just give the ball to those guys a few more times, we're not going to be having this discussion. I still can't believe this is the numbers we're looking at for the two teams that play it on Sunday.
Yeah, I think you also, when you turn on the tape, you watch Derek Harmon and Cam Haywood and them boys really knuckle up against that Lions offensive line and put hands on them, grown man hands, like part-time pastor hands. Like they were beating the hell out that Lions offensive line. And I can understand why they got away from the run. What was confusing is it felt like they gave up too early because they weren't. The Lions weren't getting blown out in this game where they felt like they had to throw to get back in this game. So that was confusing. And Dan Campbell, his superpower is supposed to be drawing up runs, scheming things up where they can be efficient, at least on the edges. But they got dominated, and I feel like they just gave up too early. I was shocked by it, but I think the physicality scared the Lions.
Yeah, but this is a team that's supposed to be about grown man hands.
Correct.
Like you throw yours, I throw mine, and we see how it works out. And when you run the ball that few times, it just doesn't fit the mold.
The Lions are 0-6 this year when they rush for less than 100 yards. We talked about this after the Rams game. Kind of saw this coming a little bit. The Rams game was weird. They lost a shootout, 41-34. But when the Lions scored 34 points, but only had 70 rushing yards. I'm like, man, I never thought I'd see the Lions have an offensive explosion and not run the ball. That game was weird, though. They had the ball for 51 seconds in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Right? And then their opening drive of the fourth quarter was a 3-and-out with 3 incompletions and a penalty. So for the vast majority of the second half, they weren't even on the field. Like it was a very
had an 8-minute drive in the third, right?
It was just a very weird game. And so they went away from it. Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't involved at all. I agree. Shocking. Now, Coach, you and I took care of ours. Willie. Oh, you had to go negative. We went with most disappointing of Week 16. Willie, what do you got?
For me, it's Baker and the Bucs, man. Look how we thought about this team in the beginning of the season. We were talking about Baker being an MVP conversation. And they've had some significant injuries. Talk about Bucky Irving. Tristan Wirfs has been in and out of the lineup. Mike Evans, he obviously talked about his injury. He just came back late. But one of the most disappointing aspects of this team has been the defense. When you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Todd Bowles, it's about his defense and how they get after you. They blitz you a lot. They condense the pocket, but they haven't been able to get after the quarterback. And because of the low sack rate, this secondary seems to fall off the face of the earth. You can't find them out there. And I thought one of the catastrophic losses we witnessed was against the Falcons, right? The Falcons converted a 3rd and 18 and then a 4th and 14. They were playing cover 2, and you saw Todd Bowles have that absolute meltdown at the end of the game presser. And I'm saying to myself, man, this defense has really failed this team. Todd Bowles' defense has failed this team. And now we're looking at the Bucs, and we don't even know who they are right now. So I'm highly disappointed in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, Baker talked about not having a killer instinct. They've got a killer instinct now. They're killing this coaching staff.
Right.
That whole group is not going to stay together when you start as hot as they started. Was it 5-1, and now they've lost 6 out of 7. And I don't want to lose track of the fact that Carolina's made a really nice jump.
Yeah, but
got a lot of good things, but this is.
But can I, before
rough.
you go, DP, can I show you a graphic that we built up? Thank you, Troy. This is the Bucs defense. How is this real? This defense is supposed to spearhead this team. When you go down to Tampa, you're supposed to be going against a daunting defense. And valid, the linebacking core, Levante David, he's been hurt. They've had some issues, but I've never seen it this bad. And this looks catastrophic. This seems like a crisis going on in Tampa.
Yeah, but I will say for this game, to me, the story was more the offense. I thought Baker was just bad. I thought he was flatly bad. And you mentioned the injuries that they've had. Not really in this game.
Yeah.
Bucky Irving played. Godwin played.
Yeah.
Ibuka played.
They had the dogs.
Evans played. They had their weapons. It's a must-win spot for the division, and you allow 23 points and lose? That's not supposed to happen.
But they've been giving up 24 points a game.
And Baker's got the ball with a chance to go down and at least tie it or win it, and throws a pick at the end of the game.
Yeah, I thought just watching the game before I looked into any of the numbers, I was like, Baker was bad. He went that interception that he was, right? It's a miscommunication. It's nowhere close, and assigning blame there is tough. But they're not supposed to look that ugly with that level of quarterback play and those receivers out there. They're all veterans.
We viewed this team Week 5. We talked about a little bit about it yesterday. They went into Seattle and got in a shootout with Sam Darnold and the Seahawks and came out that building with a dub, right? And we were like, oh man, the Bucs are for real. There's no way. There's nobody beating them in the division. Now we're looking at the Panthers like, okay, well, that was a misfire.
Yeah, that was what, a 38-35 game against Seattle. Yeah. It feels like ancient history at this point. And now Tampa's got a real problem.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.